Hey, this is Charlie from 4A Music, and today I'll be covering the coolest, most helpful iOS apps for musicians in 2020. All of the apps that I talk about today will be linked down in the comments below, so feel free to check them all out on your own. So where better to start than with an app that I've been using on my iPad for almost 10 years. forScore is the industry-leading digital sheet music reader for the iPhone and the iPad. If you have an iPad and you're a musician, this is probably the first app that I would download. Go paperless, get organized. This is the complete PDF sheet music reading experience. You can create set lists, bookmarks, intuitive page-turning commands, and you have the ability to make and save score markings. It has connectivity to cloud storage, and it also has a plethora of sharing options. I've used this app almost every day since I downloaded it, which has been now almost 10 years. It's kind of crazy to think. A metronome is something that every musician needs, and if you're gonna get an app on your phone, we recommend Tempo. This app just recently took over the top spot on my phone as my most used metronome app. It's got a super clear design, it loads really fast, and everything you need is right on the home screen, right at your fingertips, so you don't have to scroll through a bunch of menus to change the meter or change the sounds. It's all right there, it's really fast. There's not a lot of distracting UI or graphics. It's exactly what you need, it's exactly what you want. You don't want to have to be thinking about your metronome app too much. It's got 35 different time signatures, including compound and complex meters. It's got 6 rhythm patterns for simple meters and 3 for compound meters. You can customize accents or turn beats off to create more complex rhythms. It has a tap tempo function. Tempo ranges from 10 to 800, which is pretty much the widest spectrum that I've seen in a metronome app. It's got everything you need. I would say check it out. Staying on the topic of rhythm, I find myself using a drum machine instead of a metronome sometimes when I'm playing my own music or when I want to feel more of the groove as I'm playing as opposed to just a steady sort of pulse. DM1 is my favorite iOS drum machine, and it's been around forever. DM1 is an advanced vintage drum machine. It turns your iPhone into a fun and creative beat-making machine. Easy and fast to use, loaded with 154 superb electronic drum kits and beautiful hyper-realistic graphics, DM1 has been designed for a lot of instant fun. It's got a step sequencer, drum pads, and effects. It's really everything you'd want in a very simple iPhone, iOS drum machine. It's also really inexpensive. If you're just getting into beat making, or if you want to have some beats to go along with songs, even in a small performance, this would be something to check out. Along these same lines, if you're somebody that wants to play with a groove, but you don't necessarily want to sequence your own drum parts, Drumgenius is an app to check out. Drumgenius is the first encyclopedia of real drum grooves, with 400 loops from jazz to rock, as played by the masters of drums. A unique tool for any musician that wants to practice with an amazing expert virtual drummer to develop time feel and expand the knowledge of any kind of rhythm, from the basic to the most complex. The loops, which are stretchable, are accompanied by useful descriptions and discography references. A lot of times, non-drummers don't know the names of different drum grooves, and this is a really great place to start to learn some of the nomenclature that drummers use all the time. The free version of the app lets you download 3 different drum loops, but you can do a full unlock of all the loops for a really reasonable price of $7.99. It's something I highly recommend checking out. So iReal Pro is probably something that every jazz musician out there already has on their phone. In addition to laying out the chords for these songs, iReal B also will play an accompaniment along with you that's customizable and controllable, and it will let you create your own lead sheets to have play-alongs. It's really an awesome practice tool when you can't have an accompanist or you can't accompany for yourself. And I know this year with distance learning, folks have even used iReal Pro for backing tracks for juries and other performances. There's a lot of tuner apps on the App Store, but Pitch is a very clean interface that gives you all the information you need right at your fingertips. It loads really fast, really easy to use, highly recommended. It's the only app that gives you detailed analytics with tips on how to improve your playing or singing. It also charts your progress so you can watch yourself improve little by little every day. There's so many times in rehearsal as vocalists where you're not able to get a pitch because of how fast rehearsal is moving, or just you don't have access to a keyboard with where you're standing. Pitch is a great tool to give yourself a pitch, like a starting pitch, but also test what pitch you're singing and also test your intonation. When it's time to transcribe, there are really two apps on iOS that are worth checking out. The first one is still and always has been the amazing slowdowner. You can slow down tempo, change key. It connects to Apple Music and Spotify in addition to allowing you to import audio files. The interface is somewhat dated for sure, but it works as advertised. The other app for transcription that we recommend is Transcribe Plus. Transcribe Plus is a slowdowner and pitch shifting app to help you learn any piece of music by ear. It does away with the cumbersome buttons and tiny sliders in favor of direct manipulation and interaction with the music. This is really the difference between this. Transcribe Plus won't allow you to play music directly from Spotify or YouTube or Apple Music, so you have to actually import MP3s into the program. But once you do, the interface is like super slick and intuitive when it comes to slowing things down, setting loop points. So if you need to transcribe a piece or learn a piece, this is another great app to consider. If you've ever kept a practice journal before or recorded your practice sessions, Modacity is something to consider. Billed as one music practice app to rule them all, including practice planning, recording, metronomes, drone generator, timer, note-taking, statistics. What Modacity is really great at is tracking your practice, so how long you practiced, when you practiced, and allowing you to record little snippets of your practice to listen back to. It also has a number of features that encourage you to practice more, which honestly can help us all. Tonally is a super cool songwriting app that's based on the circle of fifths. Its tagline is write songs, find chords, and learn scales based on the circle of fifths. What's really cool about this app is that just at a glance, you get a good sense of what chords are within a scale. And as you rotate it around, you can start to see the relationships between chords within one kind of like root scale or mode. In addition to the songwriting function of this app, it's also really great at teaching you the modes and teaching you the relationships between scales and chords. And by the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about the modes of the major scale, you can check out our video with this link. This is an app that I just discovered recently, but instantly I can see the value, particularly for someone who doesn't feel comfortable accompanying themselves or playing chords quickly on the guitar or the piano. This is a super helpful app to potentially break out of any sort of rut you might have harmonically and push yourself into maybe some new areas of songwriting. I would be remiss if I didn't mention here the voice memo app that comes pre-downloaded on all iOS devices. There have been a number of apps that have kind of tried to do something similar that say they're giving you high quality audio, or even Apple's app that attempted to be a recording app sold directly to musicians. But the voice memo app remains the best recording app on your phone when it comes to just simplicity and ease of use and how integrated it is into the iOS. Other recording apps in iOS might work better for other people, but for the majority of people, voice memos is still king. And finally, kind of the mother of all audio apps on iOS, GarageBand still has a lot to offer to pretty much anybody at any skill level. It makes it incredibly simple to play, record, and share your music no matter where you are. Even just during this distance learning period, the number of times I've opened up GarageBand just to play the included piano, the touch piano on the iPhone, made it worth the price, which is free. You can't beat free dollars. GarageBand is definitely a hefty app to download. It's going to take up a lot of space, but for many of us, it's probably worth it just to have it as a resource on our phone or our iPad. What apps are you using to make music? Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. And as always, if you thought this video was cool, consider giving it a like or subscribing to our channel. This has been Charlie for 4A Music. Thanks for watching.